The reason we're here is we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of Landmark, and this is the location, which at the time it was a Shoney's restaurant in Fayetteville, Georgia, that we met for the first time, Bill and Eddie and myself, to discuss and more importantly pray about the fact of starting Landmark. And we just felt that God was calling us to start a Christian high school to give God the best as far as the academics, to the spiritual side of it, to the extracurricular. We wouldn't put one above the other, but it would be a complete high school that you would get more in the public arena with the Christian worldview.
Why did you start a school from scratch and not go through the conventional way of doing it? And that was that we primarily started a high school. And everybody has always said that had never been done. You just can't do that. It wasn't anything to do with us. It was the need. That was the need of why that school started. These kids were just hungry for it. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a school.
All of the experts said, you can't do that. It's impossible. In fact, there were people who made fun of us because they thought that our doors were going to be closed in a few months. Because you always have to start a school with the elementary first and then build it from there. That wasn't supposed to happen.
I'll never forget when we pulled up at first, you couldn't see the bottom of the building because the grass was so high. And we pulled up, we looked at the building, that we looked at each other and we said, isn't this going to be great? Isn't this just going to be great?
Tall grass is over, up to your waist here. First time I walked in, Mike Titus was sanding down the walls. I mean, this was not even close to being ready for a school. So it's not like it was just a great place to say, oh yeah, I see it. I mean, you really had to look at it. And I was at a place in my life that I can look at a place like this and say, yes, God, if you're in it, we're in it.
I can remember when we would change classes, literally the halls would be so crowded that you couldn't even get through them. If I wanted to get somewhere in the building, I would have to go out the back door of my building and walk all the way around, and it was actually quicker for me to get in there. We had Hot Pockets every day for lunch here, and it just doesn't seem too bad.
I was a valedictorian of Landmark's first graduating class in 1990. All of us who were there felt just really fortunate that the school was there, because we kind of saw it come from nothing and not really knowing even if it would make it, or it would be around, or even if it would make it through the whole first year. Yeah, we just kind of felt really lucky that we had a place to call our own, and there was a real sense of ownership, I think, by all of us.
You could write a book on all the places that we went to get things that were given to us.
Lakeshore.
In Lakeshore High School, College Park, they gave us all their track equipment, and all the principal up there did. We've got some big air conditioning units from Lakeshore. I remember that.
I remember somebody gave us some helmets.
We had to dive in a dumpster.
They had to put them in the dumpster because they couldn't give them to us officially, so we had to go get them out of the dumpster, and we stacked them all around Tommy McDaniel's Volkswagen. All you can see is his head and all helmets in there leaving the place.
You can watch the evolution of a business, the evolution of a school, the evolution of your own life, and a lot of times you don't always fill those gaps with places and people. But I think for Landmark, it's a place that fills a big gap, in many people's lives, and Landmark has done that for me. It has done it for me, and it is, and what my kids have gone out and done after they've left here, is really a testimony to what Landmark has done for them.
You have your public school here that gives the kids knowledge. Well, Landmark gave them knowledge too. But the difference was that Landmark was teaching them about wisdom and where to go for wisdom. What I wanted out of my kids to see was that to see one day this world as God sees it, okay? And come to know Him and to glorify Him by fulfilling His purpose and His will for their lives. That's the difference between what Landmark is teaching. We're teaching them wisdom and where wisdom comes from and how to use that wisdom.
if you're looking at a place that is, first of all, authentically a Christian school, that seeks God first, there's no other place I've been around that does it better than Landmark. And that number one, and really that kind of trumps everything else for me, that number one is why my children are here.
Landmark to me is home. Some of the same teachers that were our wrestling coaches and cheerleading coaches are still there. Mr. Titus was my math teacher. He's now the headmaster. And I could not be more thankful that God placed him in that position than I am right now, that my kids are under him. He has a heart for God. He has a heart for kids. That is why we have our kids at Landmark. We want them to have that same heart, that same appreciation for Christian education, because when they get to be our age and older, they're going to remember those Bible verses when they're in the tough times or when they're in their job and they need to minister to somebody. The Bible verses and the way they were taught in the classroom is going to come forth. It's going to be in the back of their mind. And I want them to be able to impact the world for Jesus Christ, just like we were prepared to do.
Sometimes you get down and you go through hard times in life and you look back and say, hey, that's something that's eternal. I mean, we through a prayer and through all the other people involved, we have impacted the world for Jesus Christ. And I think that's the legacy of Landmark, and just that's the ultimate of it, is that we have truly had an impact through the graduates and the families and the offspring and all the different people that we've impacted the world for Jesus Christ. And that is truly a landmark, and that's what we wanted a landmark to be, was a landmark for God in the community and around the world. And I'd have to say at that point we seem to be successful at it.
As our facilities change and as we move into the future, I see Landmark keeping its general concept, just really getting kids to the point where they're taking Christ out into the world. And that's part of what we are. It's preparing our kids to change the world and do great things as Christ would lead them.
Landmark's a place that's going to push them to their limits, push them to absolutely give their best, and do it in a place where, or in an environment where God comes first, where their faith and who they are and learning to fall in love with Jesus, that's the most important thing.
I don't know, God has given me a just incredible journey with this, in that I get to see the lives of kids, you know, from one part of their lives into the next stage, until even adulthood. And now I've taught kids that are 40 years old, you know, and that's the amazing part, and to see their lives, and it's just following Christ.
You know, I think about Perry and Eddie and Bill, and you know, I have one of those jobs that for the last 25 years, for the most part, I've gotten up every day excited and thinking, wow, I can't believe I get to do this. And I've had a job like that for the last 25 years. And I've had a job like that for the last 25 years because Bill Thorne and Perry Duncan and Eddie Wagner, they just said yes to God. And we'll do what you say, we'll follow you. And I think, how awesome is that? And how grateful I am for guys like that would, man, I get to have a blast every day because of those guys and because of their willingness to say yes to God.